Fox's final entry to the X-Men franchise is finally upon us, universe. But did they go out on a high note, or did they go out on a low note with their tail between their legs? Stick around to find out. What's up, universe, and welcome back to the web's first must-see comic and air culture show. Welcome to Comic Universe, guys. I'm one of your hosts, as always, C-Dubs, and as you guys can see, I'm riding solo on this video, guys. And the real reason why I'm riding solo on this video is because, to be honest, it's been kind of a hard road for this franchise, and not everybody on the team was excited to see it. Most of all, not me. But I had to suck it up and watch it anyway, just for you guys out there in the universe. Now, I know this movie's been out for a couple of days now, and everyone on the internet has already reviewed it and already told you how good and or bad it was. But guys, as always, man, I'm going to break it down for you, give you the good, the bad, the badass, give you my score, let you know if you should spend your hard-earned money, or maybe stick around for a red box, or wait it out, if you will. Guys, but, you know, without further ado, this is the end of an era. Let's just take a moment to recognize that the X-Men helped to get us where we are today. If it wasn't for the likes of Blade, X-Men, and the early days of Spider-Man as well, we would not really be here, to be honest with you. And we could even go further back and give credit to, you know, the Batman and the Superman movie, of course. But there's a huge gap in between that and where we are today. And it's you know, you could arguably say that the modern superhero movie was defined by the X-Men and Blade. And we just kind of moved on from there, moved up from there. And, you know, I'm not going to beat around the bush for you guys. I'm going to be honest. And overall, I have truly disliked the X-Men Fox franchise. Fox Marvel, in my opinion, lost its way from the get-go. Found its way in some movies, here and there. Had some good casting choices, of course, definitely, without a question. But most of the time, man, these guys were doing the best they could with what crappy scripts they were given, to be honest with you guys. And if you really truly know the X-Men and you know the source material, you know what I'm saying is truth. Even if you like those movies or those interpretations, or you're one of those that go, it's a different universe, so it's okay for all the changes. Yes, we get it. It is okay for all the changes. However, when you change the essence of a character, or just not even portray that character in the right frame of light, or kind of nick things or trim the fat on what makes the character great, or the concept great, that's when you start to lose your way. To be honest, I've always been someone who said I'd honestly appreciate them telling us original stories opposed to any comic book story itself, because we already got the comic book story, and any changes could potentially piss someone off. But as long as you take the characters and the core design and the core themes and run with it, you can tell any story you want from there. But unfortunately, we kind of get that a little bit in the MCU, but even the MCU, obviously with Infinity War and Endgame kind of mirroring the Infinity Gauntlet storyline. So, it is what it is. We are where we are, and overall, it's been a good ride. But the X-Men, I just want to take the time to acknowledge that and to thank them for their hard work, and all the actors and all the unsung heroes that have made these films to help get us where we are in the nerd culture today. Because there's no doubt that it is the most popular culture out there today. It is bringing in the bucks, and it's almost easy to say that it's oversaturated. But I, for one, I'm going to take everything in stride until it doesn't exist anymore. I'm going to enjoy this nerd run, if you will. So with that being said, that's my credit to where credit is due for the X-Men franchise. I am known, amongst my core friends to truly not be a fan of Fox Marvel, minus the Deadpool stuff, even though I'm not a Deadpool fan. Comic-wise, the movies, love them. X2, love it. Really, truly only because that's the first time I actually got to see Wolverine really dig in his claws and use them and seemingly be Wolverine, if you will. Because if you don't know, that's my favorite character of all time. So, on to the movie and the review for the movie, guys. So, I know, sorry for all that, but I just wanted to give credit where credit is due. So, guys, let's kick it off right off the bat with Simon Kinberg, the director of this film. This is a guy that has kind kind of dabbled in movies here and there. He has mostly writing and producer credits to many films. He only has 3 credit to being a director, if you will. 3 movies under his belt. Not even 3 movies. A movie he's working on, and a TV show. That's really all that he has in forms of direction and directing. Obviously, Dark Phoenix being his first major motion picture that he himself has directed. So with that being said, there is some caveat to giving him, credit where credit is due, as well as, all the drama that has gone on behind the scenes with this film. And, just when it's your first go out, you're not always going to do it like Steven Spielberg or any, but, you're not necessarily everybody is cut from the same cloth. Some people have to go through some growing pains before they can become, what they're destined to be, if you will. So I'm not going to totally destroy this guy. This guy has some major credits in some films, his best being The Martian, I would say. But then again, his worst is he was associated with Fan Four Stick. Yes, the 2015 Fantastic Four Fox film, which absolutely, in my opinion, could have crippled and crushed the comic book movie landscape, but thankfully didn't. That's how bad that film is. So, and granted, he didn't direct it, he's just got producer credits for it, but still being associated with that in any way, shape, or form is just absolutely, a blemish on your record, in my opinion. However, for being a first-time director, I think he did a decent enough job, maybe with what he got, all the drama going on behind it, with previous director, with the whole scandal of child pornography and whatnot, as well as, just the Fox and Disney merger, having to deal with that, and who knows what other caveats of, drama that came his way due to that. So, again, giving the director a little bit of a leeway here. Overall, the direction of the movie isn't terrible. I've seen worse. However, the writing of this and understanding of the script and the characters, man, I gotta say, I don't know. We'll get to that in the bad, but still sticking with the good. I mean, your actors, your cast, you have your Sophie Turner, your James McAvoys, Michael Fassbender, Nicholas Hoult. These guys kill it. These guys are known, know what they're doing. They understand their characters. They play them, I think, better than even the script gives them credit for or allows them to. However, I do have a little bit of issues with the way Beast was acting in this film, but I understand due to the changes in the character that we've seen throughout the history of the Fox Marvel movies, his connection, as well as Magneto's connection, tie and or love for Mystique, without giving any spoilers away, I understand some of their motives. I think it's safe to say that almost everybody realizes what happens to Mystique in this film, but we're not going to really touch on it. From the commercials, you can kind of get it. But yeah, it's very interesting, to say the least, on their character developments in this film. But these guys, they kill it. For the most part, in my opinion, very few people phone it in. I think they really do try their best. They know that this is their last run. However, they kind of just do their thing and do the best that they can. That's really, unfortunately, all I could say about the good. The bad, I can go on all day, but I'm going to try to be nice to this film as best as possible, especially since it's on its way out. I don't have to see another one of these films, thank God. Well, who knows? We still may get a couple more down the line that are in pre-production. We still don't know what they're doing with the New Mutants and whatnot. But for the most part, the major X-Men franchise, the main X-Men cast, this is the last one I'm going to have to deal with coming out of Fox. So, again, I'm going to try to be nice here. The direction of this film and the writing of this film, in terms of understanding who the X-Men are, is a real problem in this film. Right off the bat, the X-Men are kind of admired, loved, or at the very least respected and trusted in this movie. Now, I understand they may have done some good, stopping Apocalypse and all this other stuff. However, the purpose, why the X-Men exist, regardless of how insane or crazy it might be, that in the Marvel Universe you have people who love and respect and appreciate and admire the Avengers, right? But then on the flip side, they hate and discriminate against the X-Men. I get it, that doesn't make a lot of sense since they're both superhero groups, but that is how it is. Most humans do not like mutants, and that's because they are essentially better than them. They've evolved past themselves, where I guess where the fine line is most superheroes who are doing superhero stuff either don't have powers, and or were given to them in some other external means. That's how most superheroes, in the Marvel universe, tend to get their abilities, or the most popular ones, if you will. Where the X-Men again are born with them, and so making them better than us, if you will, making them Homo superior opposed to Homo sapien. So again, that is something that has always kind of boggled most of us in the comic book industry, in as fans, never quite understanding that, but that's the way it is. So the X-Men are basically an allegory for racism, prejudice, hatred. They don't have that in this film. Sure, towards the middle, when they see how destructive they are again, it's like they almost forgot. I just don't like the fact that they were played up as oh, they're our saviors thanks to the X-Men, this was great. Man, the way it should have played out is thanks to the X-Men they saved these astronauts, and then someone in the crowd chucked a rock at Xavier's head or something, to protest against them, and getting an uproar of people in the crowd. However, we don't get that. We just get them being admired for a good portion of the film. Even 2 minutes of the film is too much, in my opinion. So again, they just don't understand the concept of the X-Men. I will give credit where credit is due again, at least that this being a Dark Phoenix movie, we do go to outer space. That's pretty awesome. However, I'm going to bitch about the continuity of all of the X-Men franchise. Now, I know some of you are going to say, oh, well, thanks to Days of Future Past, things have changed. Yeah, I understand that, and that's fine. However, where we stand on the fact that in the last movie, okay, they defeat Apocalypse basically using the Phoenix Force. So she already had the Phoenix Force in the previous movie. How in the hell did she get it in this movie and she already had it in the last? I don't know, but just overlooking that is probably the worst aspect of this movie, if you're a fan, is just the continuity errors left and right and lack of understanding of characters. The way Mystique is portrayed, again, I do think that she was just phoning it in terms of this being the last time around. But her character design did not look good. I hated all the matching suits, especially since the last time they kind of had some individuality. Now we're back to the matching suits again. And I get it, they do that to try to... and I know the comic books have done that, and that's fine. But it's always best to give them this individuality. That's what makes... And again, that's a part of what makes the X-Men so great, is that individuality, they all come together as one. Again, an allegory of just understanding one another and being a team. So again, like I said, they missed the point, if you will. And overall, I just gotta say that it really took me out of the movie. There is a race of alien that I don't believe, after seeing the movie, unfortunately, twice, unless I missed it both times, they never really break down who they are. I had to Google to find out who they were. I know of the race, but I never heard them say who they were or where they were from, only that what had happened to them. And if you're a comic book fan and a Dark Phoenix fan, Dark Phoenix Saga fan, you'll appreciate the nod of who they are. But then on the same note, you may disapprove and be a little bit at wit's end as to who they are, because knowing what happens to them and in the storyline, if you will, it's such a kind of a small thing, but it's also a major big part of the Dark Phoenix, if you will, in the long echelon of her existence, if you will. So again, it's a cool little Easter egg, but it's also really bad in execution, I think. These are probably the single worst comic book villains we've ever had. I'll take your grayed out, Hulk or Doomsdays, if you will, over these guys. These guys just serve barely any purpose. They were just kind of dumb. They were just kind of there to be there, if you will. Another problem is the Dark Phoenix, the Phoenix Force, is such a major entity in the Marvel Universe and so powerful that people they don't realize, they don't treat her as powerful as she should be. She's apparently capable of destroying all of existence, but you never really see her do any more than that, than try to mess with a helicopter or something like that. Her and Magneto are kind of battling on pulling the helicopter in and pushing the helicopter away. type of a thing. And the fact that she was even struggling against Magneto shows you that they don't understand the power scale difference between the two of these characters. However, with that being said, that's about where I'm going to end it with the bad. Just because, again, I want to let it go. I want to just let it go off, ride itself off into the sunset. Now, guys, if you like this movie, that's fine. My goal is not to change your mind. My goal may be to show you the other side of the coin, okay, and definitely have a conversation in the comments below to where, if, maybe things that I missed or I didn't see, maybe shed some light for me for this film franchise, especially this film. But overall, man, it was just a complete and utter mess. Again, some of the characters, Charles is one of those characters in the comics that, if you don't know, he is definitely a good guy. He is. However, there's a saying, just because you have good intention doesn't always make it a good idea. Maybe you shouldn't do it. Sometimes the best thing to do is to do nothing, type of thing. Charles is the type of person that will wean his fingers into anything and everything that he sees fit, and sometimes he does have somewhat of a god complex, even unbeknownst to himself, where he thinks he knows what's best, and he'll make a judgment call or do something that totally, unfortunately, comes to bite him in the ass, or comes around full circle, and again, but he never does things with malice intent for the most part. And I know in the comics there was some infatuation between him and Jean Grey, which is still kind of weird, but in this movie they make him just like this glorified, like, oh, I love all the publicity, and and he has a point that good publicity is better than bad publicity, but again, they just unfortunately missed the point in understanding that character. Some of the things that he did, I don't see that being something he would do. However, and the same thing in reversal to Mystique, the way she was countering, playing off of Xavier, that's just not the character. She really hasn't been the character since pretty much day one. But, it is what it is at this point. And one last bad thing that I have to say, and this is a slight spoiler, and this pisses me off to no end. They legit have Nightcrawler, Kurt Wagner, yes, Nightcrawler, straight up murder people. Now, granted, he's not murdering humans, he's murdering aliens, but he's murdering people. If you know the comics, if you know the character, the thing, and this is where I talk about not changing the essence of a character, okay, and maybe you can say, well, he's not religious yet, maybe he hasn't found God yet. Fine, okay, I'll accept that. But for him to straight up murder people is still, as one of the youngest members of the team, he's a straight up teenager, he straight up shoves his tail through people's necks. Like, absolutely badass scene, don't get me wrong, okay, but maybe we should have brought back Azazel for that or something like that, because that is not Kurt Wagner at all. That is not the Nightcrawler. Not Nightcrawler at all. And Nightcrawler is probably my second favorite X-Men of all time. Probably in my top 5 favorite comic book characters of all time. So that really, really pissed me off. And he's not doing it like under brainwashing or mind control or anything. He just gets pissed off and does it. And I was just like, what the am I watching? No, guys, I'm going to give you the badass, because there is some badass moments in this. There's definitely some good fight choreography. There were some moments where some of Beast's movements, as he's jumping or flying through the air, are pretty bad, but there are some that are legitimately really good looking. And I was like, oh, wow, that's really awesome. Of course, Michael Fassbender plays Magneto's sternness really, really well. I really like it. They do make him a little too passive-aggressive sometimes, but Michael Fassbender is really badass in this movie. I honestly thought maybe we would get somewhat of a cameo, since this was the last one, from Logan, but we didn't, and if we did, I missed it, and I'm a little upset if I missed it. But again, we didn't get that. But the most badass thing I have to say, though, was finally seeing Cyclops kind of be a leader to some degree, and standing up for what he believes in, and standing up for his love of Jean Grey, regardless of how lackluster our connection is to this particular cast. He does a good job, and I think he may be the standout in this movie, in my opinion. This is definitely the best version of Cyclops, and probably the most we've gotten out of Scott Summers as a character in the Marvel Universe, or sorry, I should say in the Fox Marvel Universe, probably since the first movie. So I gotta give them credit where credit is due on that. That was definitely really cool. One other really bad thing, real quick, sorry, just popped in my head, is there's a fight scene between Storm and a character that I'm not quite familiar with. He has like almost Dr. Octopus like hair extensions. And by that I just mean that they move, if you will, not that they have claws or anything. They have knives at the end of them. And she really kind of like has a hard time with him. This is another understanding of the character. Storm is one of the most powerful X-Men on the planet. One of the most powerful mutants ever to exist. She would destroy a straight up melee character, especially if she didn't have any connection or feeling towards him. Like, sure, maybe with against Wolverine she'd have a little bit of a hard time because she doesn't want to hurt him, because she knows him, because she likes him. Someone she doesn't know, man, she'd freeze him, boom, like that. And also he's dodging lightning, like, so he has lightning fast reflexes. I'm like, come on. Anyway, so that was that just really bugged me in the movie. However, if I were to say leave this on one final note, if the Marvel or the MCU wants to bring over any of these characters, I think there is a chance that it could be done and done right, depending if we start talking about multiverse stuff. I hope that's not the way that they go with the X-Men in the MCU. But, you know, to be honest, I really think I would like to have the character of Quicksilver come along with Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool. If I were to pick, you know, that would be the only other major character that I would want to continue on. I know a lot of people may say McAvoy or Fassbender, but, you know, in all honesty, they're not perfect for their roles. They do a good job. You know, no one's going to outdo, you know, Patrick Stewart as Charles Xavier. Questionable for who could play Magneto. I don't think we've had a perfect Magneto yet. Obviously, Ian McKellen, you know, his version of is the best acted and the most understanding of just it's my way or the highway type of thing. This is what we have to do of Magneto. And Michael Fassbender does a good, like, young version of that, but both are not definitive in that character, so I'm open to change there. But I really would like to see that Quicksilver come over if we ever get Quicksilver back. I know the MCU version died, so if we are dealing with multiverse, it would be kind of interesting to see how she would handle, you know, having her brother back who's not her brother. That could be kind of interesting. But I doubt they would do that or go in that direction, or at least I hope they don't. But if I would, he would be the only other person I would want to come on over. The Evan Peterson character, basically. So, guys, that's where I'm going to kind of leave it. Overall, I'd give this, honestly, guys, I'm going to be generous here and give it a 2 out of 5. Just because mainly the continuity errors and issues and the lack of understanding of the characters. Is there an entertaining movie in all of this? Yeah, I guess if you just sit there and turn your brain off. Sure. And I know a lot of, especially unbeknownst to the characters or the comics, a lot of you guys out there may enjoy this, and that's totally fine. However, just know that this is not who the X-Men are. This is not how these characters would react to most of these situations. And to be honest with you, the Phoenix Force literally would wipe the floor with the X-Men. She would not power struggle against Magneto. Sorry. So, guys, let us know in the comments below. Did you see it? Did you hate it? I know there's a lot of hate for this movie already before it even came out. And I know a lot of people are like, I'm not even going to go see it. That's totally cool, too. Let us know in the comments below maybe why. Let us know if there's any of these characters that you would like to see actually cross over into the MCU. And, guys, don't forget, if you like what we're doing here, the best way to help us out, especially here in the early ons, is just to give us a thumbs up. That helps us trend a little better, helps people get, you know, awareness to the channel so that we can kind of do bigger and better things for you guys. And guys, don't forget, man, we do all kinds of things here, everything from game streaming to reviews and news and all kinds of other nerd-related topics and articles and stuff like that, guys. So check us out. Subscribe if you haven't already, guys. And until next time, I'm C-Dubs, and I'll see you in the universe. Peace.